Hey crafty people, welcome back to my channel, and in case you're new here, I'm Sarah, also known as Craft Nerd because I'm a nerd who loves to craft. I do paper crafting, card making, junk journaling, and mixed media art. Let's get crafting! Oh, welcome to my channel, and today is March 14th. And so we are up to week 11 of the Full Deck Challenge 4 for 2026, being hosted by Shanuki Art. I'll leave a link to her introductory video in the description box. And the prompts for today are red, buttons, coffee, paper rolls, hearts, black and white, one bright color, texture paste, and stencil. And I think the theme I'm going for is coffee. I'm going to use texture paste and a stencil, and then one bright color. And of course, I grabbed for today, without even paying attention, the 4 of hearts. So we actually have hearts on here. And I have already gone ahead and put on a layer of napkin just to give the playing card, since it's a slick surface, a little bit more tooth. And I've got a little thing of leftover coffee from this morning, and we're just gonna brush that on to give it like a base coffee glaze to make it a little less white. Leave a few puddles, and I'm gonna get out my heat tool and give this a dry. Alright, I think that's good. I did want to grab something that I forgot to grab. Let me grab that. Alright, I got some coffee dyed book page I wanted to add a little piece of. Tear off a little bit of this, or tear off the white-ish edges, which I save for stamping on. And then just want to do piece about yay big. But I kind of want to do something kind of like that. Let's glue that down. Probably tear it off a little longer than I need, just to make sure I can get it on there good and not end up complaining because I chopped it off too short. Let's go ahead and ink the edges. I think I'm gonna go Scorched Timber. Now we're gonna pull over our piece and my sticky mat and a stencil. Where did the stencil go? Here is the stencil. So this is a Crafter's Workshop stencil, and it's Specimen, and these are giving kind of coffee ring vibes, and I don't have any other stencils that have anything like that, so we're going to use that stencil. And then we're going to use some grit paste Opaque, which I need to put a rubber band on the sucker when we're done. but don't want it white. So I've grabbed some Pearl X powder in bronze. Add that. I don't know that it's going to be all that sparkly once we mix it in, since it's an opaque paste instead of a translucent paste. But I thought that would be a nice way to tint this brown. I think I'm going to need more. Now you could also tint this with a re-inker. Don't go too heavy-handed because you're going to add too much moisture to your paste if you're not careful. Sprays, you could do it. I'd be really, really careful with that because the sprays are more diluted. So you're better off if you have a re-inker using that than using a spray. But if all you have are sprays, you could do it. Just like I said, be very light-handed with how much you add. And if you can't see the stencil at all through the paste, you've got it on too thick, so you may want to take a little bit off. Almost had a Craft-A-Lanch over there. All right, let's lift that up. And I think I want to use some more of the stencil down here. Yes, maybe. This is the tricky part because you don't want to stick the stencil in the paste because it will mess up the paste that you've already got down. I'm just kind of bending the stencil up so I don't stick it down in the spots I've already added paste. Really want to put one like right there. Yeah, like that. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside and let it dry. You can use your heat gun to dry paste, but it tends to make them bubble up, and if that's not the look you're going for, then I wouldn't recommend. Come on, let go of the playing card. There we go. Using it, I tend to just plan out my schedule in advance so that I can sit and let this dry and work on other things while it's drying. So I'm going to set this aside, let it dry. Once it's dry, we'll come back and finish our decorating. I did want to point out, if you're using texture paste with your stencils, you're going to want to go and clean off your stencil right away, which is what I did, because otherwise you're going to end up building up the paste in the openings of your stencil and basically close the holes in your stencil, and it'll be useless. So make sure you do that or you're going to be very unhappy. Okay, so it's dry. I think I may add a little distress spray just to kind of darken that up a bit, but we're going to hold off for a sec. Pulled out my die cutting machine and my Tim Holtz Sizzix Papercut Cafe 666287 to die cut out a coffee cup to go on here. And I've got, I think these are the colors I'm going to use. I think they count as bright, so we're going with those. I need to go grab the picture from the packaging for this because I'm not entirely sure how the saucer goes together. So I'm going to do that. I'll be right back. Okay, so I got the packaging. I've grabbed ground espresso distress spray stain, and I am going to be very judicious in my application of this, kind of around where we did our texture paste. And in a second, I'm going to spray it with a little water to get it moving. Let's move our pieces out of the way. And let's give it a little spritz with water. Some of that soaked in already. Grab a cloth and dab some of this up. Wow. So the texture paste completely resisted that. Oh, not exactly what I was going for. But do some walnut stain crayon on it. Let me dry this. More glue under there because that piece of book page is kind of buckling up. All right, let's work on our coffee cup. Now this needs to get inked. I'm grabbing ground espresso. Trying to decide, do I want to cut out the thicker piece and layer it, or have little streaks of steam or wood? Definitely needs steam, definitely needs something for it to sit on. I think I'm going to be a little lazy. I don't feel like pulling out my sidekick. So we're just going to glue this on and kind of cut our own steam. Works. All right, I need something to go underneath it. Yeah, I think that works. Let's get that a little straighter. Ink the edges with Selvage Patina. right, there we go. Week 11 is done. Let's bring over our sheet and our little journaling card and fill them out. So what we got done is we actually have red because there's red on the playing card. Coffee, and then we did some coffee dyeing. Hearts, because it's the 4 hearts. One bright color. I think that counts as a bright color. You be the judge. Texture paste and a stencil. All right, there we go. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please do all the things that lets YouTube know you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave me a comment down below. Thanks for joining me, and happy crafting.